I'll recognize the member for Calgary-Shaw. Oh, sorry, honourable member for Edmonton Highlands Norwood. Did you want to comment on the 2019?
No, to speak to the bill in my turn.
I'll recognize you next. I recognize the member for Calgary-Shaw already. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's no secret that the foundation of our entire province is the education system. And a strong education allows our children to thrive. It strengthens our social fabric, and it is the foundation for long-term success benefiting all Albertans. Now, I would be remiss if I chose not to mention, much to, I'm sure, the disappointment of the members specifically of Edmonton Gold Bar, Calgary Nose Hill, Lesser Slave Lake, and perhaps the Minister of Transportation, the good work that our colleagues over here did in the spring to have this amended. And if you would so choose to raise your glasses, then as I saw you doing earlier, exactly. The good member from Airdrie, the member from Calgary-Fish Creek, the former members of this caucus fought hard for some changes to this bill. Mock it if you like, but we're proud of these changes. It's democracy in action, and I think that there's a lot to be proud of here. You know, it was a very important issue in my riding. I actually had a couple of individuals who came up to Edmonton for the protest that day. They'd never taken part in the political process before. They didn't really know what to expect. But I'm sure that what they see here today and the results of Bill 3 as it stands are a great reward for them. And it demonstrates to them, and hopefully all Albertans, that citizen engagement should not be overlooked. It is a very powerful thing in this democracy, and it should be used any given time. I would also like to say that we need to recognize the value of teachers in our society. And next to parents, teachers are the single biggest influence that our kids are going to have. So we need to ensure that they're able to maximize that value and give them the support that they require when they're in the classroom. As noted earlier, teachers face many challenges, and we need to ensure that they're supported. You know, if they have children with special needs, ESL students, and they're holding back others, and there's not the support there to ensure that everyone can move forward as a group, it's a detriment to the entire process. And I think that this may relate in some interesting ways back to some of the other policies that we see in Bill 3, specific to changing the age of access to 21 and the age of compulsory attendance to 17. You know, I share the concern that my honourable colleague from Little Bow has brought up and others today about having 21-year-olds in the classroom in high schools with, you know, someone perhaps the age of 15 to 16. It's not because their lives are threatened. It's just simply because they have a different set of life experiences that they're bringing. They have gone through a different level of maturity than someone younger, and that can pose somewhat of a threat to the natural progression and natural growing up and maturing of those young people. It's a valid concern, and I look forward to debating it in this House. Now, I think that what we need to recognize, though, is that perhaps we have an opportunity here to, instead of band-aid some of these causes, is let's try and approach this from a root cause perspective. You know, I think that what we talk about when we say that kids are being left behind at a young age, when they're a grade or two behind in math, they're a grade or two behind in reading, and the rest of the kids are moving forward, these are the kids that are going to be the ones dropping out in high school. So if we could just find a way to fix the problem at its root, give teachers the support that they require in the classroom so that these kids aren't left behind, perhaps we wouldn't have almost what could be considered an epidemic in our province, because we have one of the highest, if not the highest, dropout rate in the country. I just think it's an opportunity, and I hope that the Honourable Minister looks into some of these support systems that could potentially help fix this. You know, if we look at the social costs of letting these children slip through the cracks at an early age, do a cost-benefit analysis as to what the grand societal cost is as they perhaps require further government services in the future, if we just transplant that money, invested in prevention, we may have a very different result. Let's try and break that cycle by providing teachers the support they need and have been asking for decades, and let's start catching these kids early. Another thing I'd like to bring up is the potential use of schools. This government has a very aggressive agenda for building new schools, and That wasn't a joke. Some of us over here tend to think it is, but we'll take the government for their word at this point. I'd like to argue that schools can be used for so much more than simply educational institutions. It's a massive piece of infrastructure. It can be the hub of a community. We spend tax dollars to build and maintain these schools, but many of them sit empty after 5 o'clock. They have so much potential to do good things in the community. And after-school programs in there. Community groups or associations can use them. Use them as educational facilities for adults who require remedial training, perhaps up into the 18 to 21-year-olds, or ESL training for some of the immigrant population that we have in our province. We can use it for evening or late-night daycare facilities and assist women in poverty who are struggling to find solutions to earn a living wage. We hear this all the time. And as the critic for the Human Services portfolio, I spend a lot of time with the nonprofit organizations in Calgary, and this is one of the major issues facing women today, especially women in poverty, is the fact that they cannot find affordable daycare and accessible daycare outside of the main hours of 9 to 5. Well, if we have a school in a community that's accessible, it doesn't require a commute, it's got transit that goes by it, let's open this up to our communities. Let's stop charging obscene amounts of money to rent these facilities. It becomes cost prohibitive. There are provinces in our country that have been doing this. It's a pilot project. I believe New Brunswick has a lot of success in this, Mr. Minister, and I would highly encourage you picking up the phone and seeing what your colleagues in that province have to say about a system like this, because we, again, have an opportunity. With the number of schools you are suggesting you are going to build, they can do so much more good than just simply educating our youth. Now, in my riding, I've recently had the opportunity to visit a couple of schools. One of them is Centennial High School, and I was thoroughly impressed with the level of education that is being offered here. And it's so different than what I experienced when I was in high school. It's got experiential learning, classes on leadership. Like, who would have thought? What a great idea. Let's teach our young kids about the values of leadership, about the values of community service, volunteerism. There is a full salon that operates out of this high school. There's engineering suites, so kids can get an entrance into thermodynamic engineering, electrical engineering. And this is a major industry in Calgary, and these kids are able to just transition seamlessly into these programs in university, and it's all because of the innovative thinking that our public school systems are doing. I think it's great. I've also visited the grade 6 students at the Fish Creek School and was so impressed not only by their level of engagement, but by the fact that at a school with 700 students, they have over 400 full-time volunteer parents that come by and help out. 400! That's incredible. But being a father of a 2-year-old, this act is going to impact how he is educated in this province. And I take this process very seriously. I'm encouraged by much of what we see in this bill. I look forward to further debate and look forward to helping pass this important piece of legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.